If you're curious about what it's like to have your own Etsy shop or have always wanted to build your own e-commerce website, this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my experience with both Etsy and Squarespace and sharing what I like and dislike about each platform. I'll also be giving you my recommendation in terms of starting an Etsy or your own website. Hey guys, and welcome to Selah Paper's YouTube channel. My name is Sarah, and I am the founder of Selah Paper. I'm a self-taught calligrapher, and I started this small business back in May of 2020. I currently sell on both Etsy and Squarespace, and I have a lot to say about both of them. When I first thought about making this video, I was gonna make it an Etsy versus Squarespace video. The more I think about it, they're very different platforms that can't really be compared. Etsy.com is an online marketplace very similar to something like Amazon. People go on Etsy to shop for handmade products, and sellers sell their handmade products on Etsy. Squarespace, on the other hand, is a software company that helps people build their own websites. That means you'll be getting your own domain name, such as selahpaper.com, and they give you the tools to help making your own website easy. To give you a little bit of background, I started my Etsy shop back in July of 2020, a few months after I had launched Selah Paper. This was a great decision for me, and it helped me grow my business in the beginning. On the other hand, I've actually had a Squarespace website since 2013. Back then, however, Squarespace was not focused on e-commerce. They were focused on helping people build portfolios. In 2013, I had just finished my undergrad, and I was looking to apply for a master's program in medical illustration. And so having an online portfolio was extremely important for me to showcase my graphic design, photography, and illustration projects. Nowadays, Instagram is a great place to have an online portfolio. There are so many people on Instagram, and it's literally a visual grid of images. However, back then, social media wasn't as big, and so Squarespace was the best option for me to have an online portfolio. Since then, Squarespace has expanded tremendously, and they now offer 2 commerce plans. This means that shops can have a Squarespace website to sell their products online. Squarespace is like Shopify because they're both e-commerce website builders. However, I do think Shopify is much more robust when it comes to e-commerce. That being said, I actually did intentionally choose Squarespace over Shopify after using a trial of Shopify, and I'll get to that later. For now, let's talk Etsy. I'm going to be sharing pros and cons of Etsy. However, please keep in mind that like most things in life, a pro can be a con and a con can be a pro depending on the context and your circumstance. So, Etsy pros. Number 1, Etsy Marketplace has a huge built-in audience. And when I say audience, I mean customer base. There are thousands and millions of shoppers already on Etsy.com ready to buy a product, and not just any product, but a handmade product. Etsy has done an incredible job promoting itself. Even in the last year, during the pandemic, Etsy has grown so much as the focus really shifted to supporting small businesses. You're tapping into this huge audience of people who already know the value of a handmade product and who are willing to pay for one. This audience base is really different than the types of customers you're gonna find on eBay or Amazon, and it's a really unique group of shoppers. Etsy literally provides the search engine for customers to go on and find your product. Pro number 2 is that Etsy is so easy to set up. I think I set up my shop in less than 2 hours. All I had to do was upload a logo image, a cover photo, and add a few products. And adding products was super easy because it was literally like a fill-in-the-blanks activity. Unlike having your own e-commerce website, you don't need to worry about things such as accessibility, mobile versus desktop version, slow loading issues, design issues, browser compatibility issues. Because you're using Etsy's platform, those things are all taken care of, and they're in control. All you have to do is focus on what you have control over, such as your images and the way that you word your titles and descriptions. And because of this, it makes it incredibly simple to just start. There are also no upfront fees or membership fees with Etsy, and so you really just gotta sign in and start uploading things. Pro number 3 with Etsy is that it's a fully integrated system. One of my favorite features is the customer chat. It makes it extremely easy for me to communicate with my customers, but also for the customer to reach out to me as well. When I open a customer's order, I can see their order history, where they're from, and our entire message history as well. This makes it easy to not only deal with issues, but also just to reach out and say hi and thank you to your customers. Things like shipping are also integrated into Etsy. Though I've personally not used Etsy shipping, I know that what you can do is pay for a shipping label on Etsy and it will automatically calculate the shipping costs based on the buyer's address. You don't need to use 3 or 4 different softwares to manage all of this because it's all embedded into Etsy. The 4th pro of Etsy is that it's actually quite affordable in the beginning. I say in the beginning because over time, the fees just got way too significant for me, and so this is actually a major con of Etsy. However, when you're just starting out and you're looking for new customers, I found that the Etsy fees were very justifiable. We'll get more into the fees later. And finally, the last pro for Etsy for me was that their review system was really beneficial for my shop. Obviously, on your own website, you can also set up reviews where people can come and rate your products and leave little comments. However, Etsy's marketplace by default allows customers to do that. This is going to work against you if you have a low quality product or if your customer service is terrible. However, if you're doing things right, customers will leave positive reviews, and positive reviews really snowball. They lead to more sales, more exposure, and I found that it also builds credibility for your shop. Again, this can be really challenging in the beginning when you're having a hard time finding your first or second sale, but as sales come in and reviews start rolling in, it really accelerates your shop. It could be difficult because as a shop owner, it's really hard to control reviews. If someone leaves a poor or untrue review on your shop, you can't actually delete it or hide it. I think that this is good as a shopper because you get to see the full spectrum of reviews. If I went to saleapaper.com and I saw some great testimonials or reviews, as a shopper, I know that that was curated by the business. They're hand selecting the types of testimonials and reviews that they want you to read. However, on Etsy, because the reviews are kind of like a free-for-all, you know that they're true and that they're accurate to what the customer base is actually saying. This can work for or against you based on the Etsy algorithm, which I'll get to later because I think that's a con. However, I found that these reviews are very helpful for me in the beginning, especially as I was trying to build credibility and traction. All right, guys, it's time for the cons. Please note that most of these cons are just the flip side of the pros, and as much as I'm gonna divulge and vent about the things I don't like about Etsy, at the end of the day, I'm still an Etsy maker, and I really appreciate Etsy for what it is. But let's get to it. Number 1, the competition on Etsy is fierce. This isn't to say that the culture on Etsy is toxic or anything like that, but there's just a lot of competitors. As I've mentioned before, this is a huge marketplace. There are a lot of shops vying for the customer's attention and selling products that are actually very similar to one another. Sometimes I go on incognito mode and I search for my products, and I'm not even on the first 10 or 15 pages of the search sometimes. That is kind of depressing, and it just goes to show there are a lot of products on Etsy. Products are literally placed right beside each other. And so this is great from a consumer's point of view because you can literally compare the products and the prices right there in front of you. But as a maker, it gets really hard to really differentiate yourself. The thing that really irked me and really forced me to speed up my e-commerce website was I realized I was sending people from my Instagram to my Etsy shop. But when people land on my Etsy shop, all they have to do is scroll a little bit to see a list of all the related products that are similar to mine. So in a way, I was literally driving traffic to my competitors. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can really do about that. Just as you're driving traffic to other shops are also driving traffic to your shop, and Etsy is continually promoting itself. So this is really a con and a pro. On this note, I also do want to share something about price. My goal for Sale of Paper is to build an empire. I want to build my brand and grow my shop and business. This is my full-time living. However, not everyone on Etsy is doing that. Again, this is good and bad. My mom can go on Etsy and start selling candles or soaps if she wanted to. And while this is a great opportunity for my mom, it doesn't work well when people who are doing it as a hobby or for fun drive down the prices for everyone in the industry. I've seen cards listed on Etsy for $1 or $2, and this might be okay for someone who just wants a little bit of cash. but it really hurts the industry and it really hurts the bottom line for people who are trying to do this as a full-time living. I've seen a lot of products priced very unfairly, and this just drives down the prices for everyone else. You really can't compete with that. I can't make a living selling cards for $1. And so yeah, being on Etsy really can hurt me in a way. Con number 2 is that you really don't have control on Etsy. Like I said before, it's so easy to set up because Etsy has built this platform where all you have to do is fill in the blanks. But what if you want to do more than fill in the blanks? You really can't. You can't inject any code to customize your page. You can't really tweak the way that shipping is set up or customer communication is set up. But the worst part of not having control is that you're at the mercy of Etsy's algorithm all the time. If Etsy wants to change their policy, they can do so and they don't have to get your approval. You have to constantly manage and upkeep your listings so that you stay on top of the Etsy algorithm. Unless you're doing this, it gets really hard for customers to find you. Something that's really frustrating is that currently Etsy's algorithm favors shops that offers free shipping. That makes sense because as a buyer, you want free shipping. However, as a shop owner, sometimes it's just really hard to offer free shipping. My shipping costs $8.50 at minimum to send domestically. If you want to send it to some rural area, it's going to cost even more. And for Etsy to say that I should offer free shipping in order for my products to rank higher in their search, it puts me in a really hard place. I can price my products at $8.50 higher. However, that goes against me as well because as customers are shopping, they're going to compare my product price with my competitors. I found that there's no real win in this situation. You have to do what Etsy tells you to do if you want your products to be found. The third con about Etsy is that when you're on Etsy, you're not building your brand. Like I said, this might not be a priority for you, but if you're a small business that wants to grow, you're not really gonna strengthen your brand voice on Etsy. Something that just really hurts me is in the past when I've bought things on Etsy, my friends will ask me, oh, where did you get that cute necklace? And for many years, all I said was, I got it on Etsy. Now that I myself am a small business owner, I'm really sensitive to this and I do my best to remember the shop's name, to follow them on Instagram, and to share their actual website when my friends or other people ask me. But in the past, really, all I did was say that I got it on Etsy. There was no brand recognition, and even though I was the customer, I literally didn't remember the shop that I bought it from. It also doesn't help that Etsy is not really customizable, and so all the shops end up kind of looking the same. I've mentioned this earlier, but as you're also promoting your Etsy page, you're promoting other shops, and you're ultimately promoting Etsy. And Etsy's algorithm is constantly changing, and it might not always be beneficial for you to stay on Etsy. That brings me to Squarespace. I love Squarespace. Currently, I'm using Squarespace 7.1, which is their newest version. I was previously using 7.0, but I migrated everything to a new plan in order to be able to use 7.1. I find their latest version so incredibly easy to use, and even if you have no design sense, their basic built-in templates just make things so beautiful by default. On Squarespace, you can tell your story exactly the way you want to tell it. You can pick every font, every image placement, every flow of navigation. You can customize it all. And when people enter your own website, they should get a feel for your brand right away. Customers also don't get distracted by other products when they're shopping on your website. And in fact, being on your website allows them to dig deeper, find blog posts, to sign up for that newsletter, and so much more. Yes, it's time consuming, and yes, there are fees associated with it, but I truly think it's worth every single penny. Let's compare fees. So currently, I pay for Squarespace's most expensive plan, which is $40 USD per month. And this is the Commerce Advanced plan. It gives me all the features I need. Squarespace actually has a 0% transaction fee. That means Squarespace isn't taking a cut of your transactions, and it's all embedded into the $40 a month. Although there's no setup fee with Etsy, they take 5% of every transaction. On top of that, every single sale takes 28 cents, which is the listing fee, and they also take 5% of your shipping fees, and they charge a 3% payment processing fee. Now with Squarespace, you still have to pay a payment processing fee, and this is just standard for any credit card processing, such as PayPal or Stripe. But because Squarespace's transaction fee is 0, whereas Etsy's is 5, you can see how the fees will add up when you're selling a lot more. When I was just selling my first 10 or 100 products on Etsy, I found that the transaction fee was totally worth it because they're new customers that are being driven by the Etsy traffic. However, as I was making more money and my profits were going up into the thousands, I found that 5% of that was a much higher cut than just paying $40 to Squarespace a month. You can see how over time, when you're selling a lot more, it's a lot cheaper to go on a place like Squarespace, where all you have to do is pay a base price. There are also a lot of other features I love about Squarespace, one being the email campaigns. It's really similar to MailChimp, where people can sign up for a mailing list on your own website, and you can use Squarespace's built-in email maker to format an email or newsletter and send it out to everyone on your list. It's super easy and there's a small added fee, but this is my preferred way of communicating with my customers. They also have really powerful blog tools. Remember how I said that Squarespace is a portfolio site? Their blog pages are so robust and so clean. And lastly, my favorite part about Squarespace is truly their design, and this is what differentiates them from Shopify in my opinion. Shopify has great usability, and I was able to drag and drop things and easily make a page look good. But Squarespace has this added touch that just makes it look so refined. I think it's because Squarespace was not made initially for e-commerce shops, but it was more made for artists and photographers and people who really care about design. For the average person, they may not notice the initial differences in the templates and in the way that it's set up. However, it really bothered me using Shopify because I found so many limitations in the design aspects that I could change. If you know how to code, you can go into the back end of both of these sites and customize anything you want. But for the average user, I found that Squarespace did a much better job of laying it all out there and allowing people to easily customize without knowing any code. Anyway, this video is not a Shopify versus Squarespace. I really just want to focus it on Etsy versus having your own web platform. And I just happen to use Squarespace. So I'd like to end this video by giving my recommendation to other small businesses like mine. I highly recommend starting on your own website, but definitely also building an Etsy shop shortly after. The reason I would sequence it like this is because I think it's always important to have your own website for people to go to, even when they're on your Etsy shop. When someone buys something on Etsy and they receive my package, they actually receive all my details with my own URL on it. And so that customer can now go to my website to find more. It just gives a place for customers to go to. It also is a great exercise for you to help develop your brand. It's so important to know what your values are, what your look and feel is, and how you want customers to feel when they're shopping with you. All of this can be achieved in the website. And as you're building your website, it's a great exercise for you to explore different elements and for you to really nail down who you are. I found that when I was writing my About Us page or developing my home page, I was really confronted with different options and I had to make a decision on what kind of business and brand I wanted to be. In building my website, I feel like I really built my brand. Now, shortly after you build your own website, I think it's very important to open an Etsy shop. The audience that you're gonna find on Etsy versus your own website are completely different. You're gonna be able to make so many more sales and drive so much more traffic on Etsy. But remember, having your own website shop allows those shoppers to find you off of Etsy and to make more sales and to connect with them there. You can even treat Etsy like a passive stream of income because as long as your shop is alive and active, Etsy's gonna constantly be promoting itself and possibly promoting your shop too. And so you're gonna get new buyers even though you're not updating your shop that much. As that's running, you can really invest in your own website shop. And this is gonna help you save money, build brand recognition, and just gain a loyal customer base that really loves you and your brand. Thank you guys for watching this video. I am so sorry for talking for so long. I could just go on and on about this forever, but if you have any more questions or comments or even your own opinion, please leave them in the comments below and I will definitely reply back to you. If you'd like to see more videos like this where I share on a specific topic, please also let me know and request a topic. I'd love to make more videos for you. And as always, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you guys on YouTube as well. I hope you're inspired to start your own Etsy and Squarespace website today. This video is not sponsored by either of them, but it is just my pure experience. Thank you guys, and until next time, bye!